Welcome to RPRA's consultation on the proposed 2026 fees for the Hazardous Waste Program Registry. My name is Julia, and I'm a Communications Advisor here at RPRA, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. In this webinar, we will communicate the proposed HWP registry fees for 2026 and how RPRA develops those fees. We'll be pausing twice during the presentation to answer questions, and we'll take more questions at the end of the session as time allows. To ask a question, please use the Q&A tab, type your question, and hit send. Everyone can see the questions, and you can upvote any question you want us to answer first. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible during this webinar, but if we don't get to your question, please email it to consultations@rpra.ca, and we will reply directly to you. You may also use a chat box to type your question at any time. Please note this session is now being recorded. The recording and presentation slides will be emailed to everyone here and will also be available later today on our website and YouTube channel. Now I'll hand it over to Stacey Bowman, Manager of Policy, Research, and Data Analytics here at RPRA to start the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. Welcome, everyone. Just going to start with some introductions to our organization. Some of you may be new to interacting with us. So we're the Resource Productivity and Recovery Authority. We're a regulator. We have a threefold mandate. We support the transition to a circular economy by winding up some legacy waste diversion programs under the Waste Diversion Transition Act. And we also enforce a producer responsibility framework for Ontario under the RRCEA, the Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act. And the Hazardous Waste Program falls under the part of our mandate where we provide digital reporting services for Ontario's Hazardous Waste Program under the EPA. We also provide digital reporting services for the province's excess soil registry program as well. And our third aspect of our mandate is to publicly report on the province's progress towards a circular economy and on the data that we have in our registries. And just an important note that we are an administrative authority of the Government of Ontario, which means we don't receive any government funding. We fund our operations solely through the fees that we're going to talk about today, which are charged to regulated parties or parties that are using our registries. That's how we recover 100% of our costs to deliver this mandate. So the proposal scope that you're all going to be communicated today, it's provided for information and also to obtain your feedback on our 2026 proposed fees for users of the Hazardous Waste Program Registry. As always, we propose these fees before the year in which they will apply. So these are 2026 fees that would come into effect January 1st, 2026. The 2026 budget is where these fees are derived from, and it has been finalized at this point as part of our 2026 business plan. And you'll find in this presentation, there's some key financial information that's excerpted from that business plan to provide you with the contextual information necessary to inform feedback on these 2026 proposed fees for HWP. So a little bit more about what we are mandated to do in terms of provisioning service and the HWP registry itself. Back in 2021, the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks directed us to create a registry for reporting all information under Ontario's Hazardous Waste Program. That includes registering facilities and waste streams, on-site waste activities, and also all the manifesting associated with these activities. This replaced the paper manifesting system, formerly called the Hazardous Waste Information Network, HWIN, with an online reporting portal and electronic manifesting system, as well as a mobile app. So we were directed to create that registry and mobile app, and also to support on an ongoing basis registrants who report through our registry and app. An important note is that the MECP does continue to oversee the Hazardous Waste Program and is responsible solely for compliance enforcement activities. RPRA does not have jurisdiction for compliance and enforcement activities related to HWP. We provision the registry and we provision services to registrants on the registry only. So if you have any questions related to your requirements under the regulation, you can contact the ministry, and there's an email there on the screen, and our HWP web pages online have this contact as well. It also has a lot of information about the HWP registry, including FAQs and training materials. So especially if you're new to this program, our website is a terrific resource. So our fee consultation process that we go through every year is to post our program fees for all of our programs for at least 45 days. So we're in the middle of we're not in the middle, we're at the beginning of the fee consultation for 2026. It began on September 29th and it'll end on November 13th. And then we will finalize those fees and post them for 30 days in December before they come into effect, as previously stated, on January 1st. During this consultation at any time, you can send feedback or questions to consultations@ripra.ca, the email address, on or before November 13th. You will be able to access a recording of the webinar that you're viewing right now on our consultation webpage on our website. Following this webinar, I believe it will be posted today by the end of the day. There will also be a consultation report posted after the full fee consultation is over in November that will summarize all the feedback we received during the consultation and also how RPRA considered that feedback. And that will be posted to the website on or before December 1st, and stakeholders will be notified of that posting. Again, if there is questions, you can use our consultations@ripra.ca email, and you can also visit our consultation webpage, which has a lot of information, and we'll have all of this, the webinar slides and all the other slides from other program webinars available there for your use after this presentation. So broadly, what do RPRA's Hazardous Waste Program registry fees support? Well, it basically supports the part of our mandate that is to develop and provide ongoing maintenance of the HWP registry, including RPRA's HazTrack mobile application that supports manifesting. So that's just day-to-day operations of this registry and enhancements as required. And also the customer support that registrants require to fulfill their regulatory obligations using the HWP registry. There are real people available to answer your questions via email or via phone. And there's lots of educational material online as well. HWP registry fees also support the public reporting of hazardous waste program registry data, which you can find on our website. We this year, for the first time, have provided aggregate data sets of all registry data submitted to the HWP registry in 2023 and also in 2024 in the form of downloadable Excels. And there'll be a downloadable Excel of 2025 HWP registry data available in early 2026. Again, that's all on our website. So here's a little bit about our overall approach to fee setting here at RPRA, not just for HWP registry fees, but for all the fees for all of our programs. We have a board-approved general fee setting policy, which provides overall guidance for our fee methodology and models. All of our fees, our consultation process, and all the decision-making must align with this policy. In terms of what actually goes into making these fees, there are 6 main inputs. First is our annual budget, which provides the overall total revenue requirement that we need to operate for the coming year. That's disclosed in our business plan. Then we have a methodology for cost allocation, which is contained in a policy that you can find out about, but is not located on our website. But it guides the allocation of our budget to different programs that RPRA operates. So we have our HWP registry program. We also have the excess soil registry program, as mentioned, and then we have producer responsibility, regulatory, and registry programs. So the allocation methodology splits up the budget amongst all of those programs. Another input into the fees is any surplus funds that we receive from the windup of industry funding organizations from the legacy waste diversion programs. There is often an adjustment to a program's revenue requirement related to either recovering a deficit from prior years or related to applying a surplus from prior years. And then each program has its own fee model, which determines how and what fee payers within each program are charged. HWP has a manifest fee, a flat fee, and also a tonnage fee for applicable tonnage reported through manifesting. That's the fee model for HWP. And then lastly, we have an estimated number of fee payers and the amount of material either supplied or reported through each program. In 2027, there will be an additional input into this approach to fee setting, which will be an adjustment potentially to revenue requirements in a given program due to any collection of administrative penalties that RPRA may have levied in the previous year. That doesn't apply for 2026.
Key clarification there, Stacey, that this doesn't actually apply to HWP. It's a good note because it's going to be part of our fee setting process, but RPRA doesn't have the power to issue administrative penalties under the EPA programs. This is strictly how we would apply any revenues generated through the use of administrative penalties to the producer responsibility programs that we support and implement.
Thanks for that clarification. So if you want even more information about our fee setting, we do have a really in-depth webpage on all of our fees, including a bunch of Q&As, and also access to previous year's fee consultation materials and consultation reports, all on our website. So a little bit more about this cost allocation methodology I just mentioned, one of the main fee inputs. It distributes the total cost recovery, our total budget, in other words, between all our programs to fairly recover our costs related to each program. And it avoids registrants from any program subsidizing the costs of another. Overall, the methodology divides our costs into two categories. There are direct costs, which are attributed to a specific program. These could include the amortization and interest of startup costs to develop a registry in the first place. It could also include foundational costs of developing a program, professional fees for enhancements related strictly to that program, and certain information technology and other registry related expenses, again, that are to fund enhancements or adjustments strictly related to that program. Then there's another bucket of common costs, which can't be directly attributed to one program because they're either indirect or they're costs of shared services. And these are divided amongst the programs using cost drivers, like the number of registrants in a program. So for Hazardous Waste Program, that's a big cost driver. Or in terms of the producer responsibility programs, the number of producers. Common costs, the large bucket includes indirect costs like the remuneration of our board, amortization that's not related to registry startup costs, certain salaries, and things like office supplies. A shared service cost, also included in the common cost bucket, includes the majority of our staff salaries and benefits, our IT services and support, which provide services to all of our programs and all the registry portals, and things like software licenses. There's also an annual contribution to the organization's contingency reserve fund, and that's allocated to each program based on that program's share of the total budget for the year. There's a lot of information on this slide. Again, if you're interested in understanding this in depth, I would visit our fees webpage online as your first stop. It breaks it down in a digestible manner, and you can learn more there. So there are three main sources of fee revenue that RPRA accumulates every year. We have the fees to produce responsibility programs. We have fees to this program, the Hazardous Waste Program and Excess Soil under our digital reporting services umbrella. And then we have also a small amount still of cost recovery charges that we levy to industry funding organizations from that legacy waste diversion programs under the Waste Diversion and Transition Act. I think that brings us to the end of our first segment. So I'm happy to pause for a moment and answer any questions anybody might have.
Great. Just looking right now, the Q&A tab. I don't see any open questions at this time. Again, if you do have any questions, please hit the Q&A tab below on your screen there. Type the questions and we can do our best to answer that. And if not, again, email us at consultations@rpra.ca and we'll be able to reply that way. So no open questions at this time. We can continue.
Great.
Okay, I'm gonna take the helm here. I'm Cam Parrack. I'm Director of Programs and Stakeholder Relations here at RPRA. Stacey Bowman gave us a great setup around how we operate, how we divide up our costs and recover our budget. And I'm going to drop it down a level to our 2026 budget, which was finalized at the end of September by RPRA's board and forms the basis of our 2026 business plan. So in our business plan, we outline our 5 strategic goals, which were established last year in our 5-year strategic plan, which takes us out, which is kind of our guiding kind of goals and objectives that help us achieve our mandate as we operate through the next 5 years to 2030. Our 5 strategic goals are accessible registry services that provide value to registrants. And these strategic goals, just to highlight, these apply across all of our programs, save for this next one, which is effective enforcement that supports waste reduction and a healthy resource recovery sector. Our 3rd strategic goal is our trusted and useful public information about resource recovery, waste, and RPRA activities. Now, a little bit more internal facing, but we want to, we strive towards creating a connected culture where employees can grow and do meaningful work, and establishing a robust set of internal systems and processes that remain innovative and adaptable to change. Now, in terms of getting into our 2026 budget numbers, this is what RPRA believes we need to deliver on our mandate. And we carve up the budget based on the kind of 3 higher level areas that we support, which are the producer responsibility programs, digital reporting services, and the oversight of the wind up of Ontario's legacy waste diversion programs, or the WDTA programs. Just to highlight a few key drivers of this year's budget, I'll start with the area that's most applicable to this group, which is our digital reporting services. And what you see is relatively flat budget. We believe that we need about $460,000 or 5% increase in the resources to support the HWP program. However, as you'll see, I'm sure some of you have already consumed materials that we've had posted as the proposal for this consultation, with increases in reported number of manifests and tonnage generated. These are just the resources that are kind of right sized to support the current programming and will lead to no increase in the fees charged, but we do see a slight increase in the revenue requirement for the digital reporting services. We're seeing a decline in the amount of funds we believe we need to support the WDTA programs, and that's largely due to the ongoing windups of those legacy programs that are in the process of being terminated by the minister. And obviously with programs being terminated, we won't need the resources to support oversight of the continued operations and wind up of those programs. Now, the most significant change in our budget year over year is an increase in investment in supporting Ontario's Blue Box program, which is in the process of transitioning to full producer responsibility as of Jan 1, 2026. So we see an increase year over year from the 2025 to the 2026 budget in from 27.2 million to 29.7 million. And as I highlighted, that increase is largely being driven by investments to the producer responsibility program, specifically in supporting Ontario's Blue Box program. In terms of the breakdown of our expenses, you can see the majority of RPRA's expenses are driven by salaries and benefits, followed up by our technology solutions, so the building and supporting of our registry portals that for the HWP program that supports you to report required information to show compliance with the hazardous waste program. And then the third biggest area of expense is our amortization. So these portals, were required a large upfront investment, and they're paid down over a number of years to help smooth out the cost to the regulated community. In terms of program allocation, so we have established our budget, and now we need to determine how much of that budget each program picks up. The majority of RPRA's budget is borne by Blue Box registrants, followed by our Hazardous Waste Program registrants, and then the breakdown for the other programs that RPRA supports are provided there. And for this group, this is hopefully helpful in building your understanding of the diversity of RPRA's mandate. We're supporting many different programs across many different sectors, all related to resource recovery and waste management. Okay, so getting into the individual line items, I'm not going to spend too much time here, but if folks have questions later on in the webinar, I'm happy to move back. But all the information to help our registered stakeholders understand where investments are being made or where we're trimming our budget are highlighted here. Really, the biggest change is in our salaries and benefits, and that's largely due to new dedicated resources to support the implementation of Ontario's Blue Box program. Not too many other significant changes to highlight year over year. I'll highlight one cost-saving measure which we've implemented, which is we've chosen to recover less related to our reserve recovery this year, and that is really just in response to today's challenging economic environment. So that helped to buffer against any fee rate increases or help to mitigate fee rate increases across the programs to just recover less of our reserve this year. Now, as Stacey mentioned, part of our fee setting process is how we apply any program surpluses or how we recover in a year any deficits associated with the operations of a program. So we've broken it down here, basically how much of each program's surplus or deficit we plan to recover or apply this year, and how much of each program's surplus remains for future application or recovery. This is a key element that we're looking for feedback on. This is where this proposal becomes a consultation. If we're interested in seeking feedback from registrants, if we should hold back on applying certain levels of surpluses, kind of saving it for later, if that the result would be a higher fee this year, or if we should choose a different option, which would be applying more of the program surplus in a given year to further lower fees. But obviously that has impacts in the future, less surplus to apply in future years. For this program, there is no surplus, and we'll cover in a few slides the amount that we're planning on recovering to resolve the program startup or upfront investment in this program. So, as noted in the table below, RPRA is proposing to apply 1.4 million of prior year surplus to reduce the 2026 producer responsibility programs, leaving a balance of 3 million to be applied in future years. And HWP also has a program surplus of 1.8 million, which will be applied to reduce future years' fees. In terms of the program's deficit, it's good to highlight at this point that before we had the ability to set and collect registrant fees, which started Jan 1, 2023, we needed to make investments to build the technology solution that supports this program. That's our registry and the HWP HasTrack mobile app, as well as the resourcing costs to get the program started. This resulted in a startup deficit, which we continue to recover each year. So the remaining balance of that startup deficit is 0.27 million, which will be recovered this upcoming year in 2026, and that we anticipate that the deficit will be fully recovered by the end of next year. In terms of the 2026 revenue requirements, we talked about each program's allocation of costs, so how much we think the program needs, and then to support it, and its portion or its share of RPRA's budget based on our cost allocation methodology. And then we apply the surplus or deficit that is appropriate for each program based on the levels of surplus or deficit that each program maintains, and we get our recovery target, which is the basis of this year's fees. So for HWP, that number is 8.7 million that we need to recover using our chosen fee model. I'm not going to go into the programs. I'm sure if folks are interested in learning more about the fee rate proposal for each of these RRCA programs, if you're involved in any of those, good time to remind folks that we are hosting dedicated webinars for each of the other programs that RPRA supports. And if you're interested in learning more about any of those other programs, encourage you to sign up for one of those webinars. That you can find that information on our consultations page related to the fees proposal. So in terms of breaking down the Hazardous Waste Program revenue requirement, what we're seeing is actually a decrease in direct expenses year over year. We're seeing a slight increase in indirect and shared expenses allocation. So that's related to the RPRA's budget increase, not the direct costs related to Blue Box, but the increase in RPRA's budget related to inflationary impacts. RPRA's share, the program share of RPRA's startup cost and reserve contribution. I mentioned that that's going down. We've chosen to recover less related to our operating reserve. However, every program picks up a share of the costs associated with getting RPRA as an organization off the ground. So that's a $160,000 line item there. And in terms of the total cost to be recovered, we've got 8.5 million, or a 6% increase year over year. There's also, as noted, the recovery of HWP startup costs. Last year, we recovered 320,000 related to this program startup cost. That's those costs incurred before we were able to charge registrant fees. This year, we're going to charge $270,000, and that line item will hopefully be erased in future years as the HWP startup costs will have been totally recovered at the end of this year. That's what we're hoping. In terms of surplus and deficit, we're not planning on applying any of the program surplus and deficit in this year, resulting in a total revenue requirement change of 5%. So this program's costing 8.77 million to support and operate. Now on to I guess before we go into the fee model, we're happy to take a few questions, and I can move back to any of the slides that folks are interested in learning more about. So I'll turn it over to you, Julia. Have we got any questions that have come in?
Thanks, Cam. I'll just give it a couple minutes here. I think we do have one question here.
Oh, okay. So it looks like, so I'll read the question. Thanks, Karen, for posing that. If the HWP program has a surplus of 1.8 million, is there a reason that this is not being applied to eliminate the deficit and amortization startup costs at this point in time? So good question. A decision has been taken to hold the surplus for application in future years. As Stacey, I'll turn it back over to Stacey in a moment to go through the fees proposal. What we're proposing are stable manifesting fees and stable tonnage rate. If there is interest in lowering that rate by using some of the surplus this program is holding on to, we'd love to hear that feedback. Kind of our approach at this time was to keep the fees stable, but this is a consultation and we are interested in your feedback. And if industry has strong views about using the surplus to reduce fee rates, or a portion of the surplus, then please send us that feedback. Well, it'll definitely be captured as a part of this webinar as well as in our consultation report. But further feedback is welcomed, and you can send that feedback to consultations@ripra.ca. Now, Stace, if you have anything to add, please go ahead.
Maybe I'll just emphasize that the decision not to eliminate the deficit this year, yes, it's to keep fee rates steady, but that's because when we think about future years, a bit of fluctuation given all the different inputs into setting a fee rate is to be expected. There is fluctuation in the amount of tonnage that comes through the registry. There's fluctuation in the amount of registrants that use our registry every year. Those fluctuations we can't control. They have an effect on the fee rate. So our goal as an organization, one of them, is to keep fee rates as predictable as possible. And I think that was the biggest rationale in not applying surplus this year, because we could keep that steady fee rate without doing so, which means in future years, if we do have inputs like registrant numbers and tonnage that causes the fee rate to go up, we could actually bring it back down by applying that surplus. So just a emphasis there. Hopefully that answers your questions.
Okay, we've got, and thanks, Karen, for the really good question. We've got a question from Tammy. Thanks for the question. So she notes, 14% increase in indirect costs seem to be much higher than inflation. What is RPRA doing to keep costs closer to inflation? So in terms of our investments in this program, or sorry, investments in RPRA, once the blue box program investments are backed out, our total overall budget increase is 2.3%, which is mainly due to inflationary impacts, largely around salary and benefits and other kind of technology related costs, and the result of anticipated inflation in 2026. Now, in terms of this program, and I can go back to the slide. So the indirect costs are going up by about 750,000-ish, 800,000. I believe that's still the overall budget going up by 2.3%, but due to our cost allocation methodology, this program just picks up a bigger share of that increase just due to the number of registrants and the amount of tons generated. I can get back to you with a little bit more of a refined answer from with support of our finance team, but I believe it's just due to shifts in this program seeing more activity, like more effort involved with supporting this program. That's why it picks up a outsized share. Stacey, is that close? I know we could, but
Yeah.
Tammy, I'm happy to follow up with a little bit more of a refined answer with support from our finance colleagues.
Yeah, yeah, that's the gist of it, though. The biggest cost driver for hazardous waste is the number of registrants, and the number of registrants serves as a proxy for the amount of resources that RPRA commits to the program in order to keep the registry running, operational, up to date, and to keep our service standards at a level that is acceptable to the regulated community. So you got it.
Okay. Um, I think it's a good time to move into the next section and get right into, your fee rates. Happy if there are other questions as we progress and get to the kind of final question period to move back to any of the slides we covered today in the presentation. But I'll hand it back over to Stacey Bowman. Go ahead, Stacey.
Thanks. Just wait for the slide deck to, get into our proposed fees. Okay, so here are our 2026 proposed fees for the Hazardous Waste Program Registry for consultation. And you can see they're proposed to be held steady, as we mentioned. So we have two rates. One is the variable tonnage rate. We're proposing to hold it steady at $30 per ton. So that's applied for all the tons on a manifest, excluding waste that's exempted from tonnage fees per the regulation. This is no change from previous years, exactly the same. Then the other fee would be our flat manifest fee. It is proposed to be held steady at $6 per manifest. And again, as in previous years, that excludes waste that's exempted from manifest fees per the regulation. So this fee structure is the same as 2025. It's based on predictions of 127,000 manifests coming through our registry in 2026 and about 268,000 tons of waste reported through our registry in 2026. This is a slightly higher volume predicted for 2026 than has come through in 2025. And that's one of the reasons why, even though we did not apply part of the program surplus to the 2026 revenue requirement for HWP, we were still able to hold the tonnage fee flat because of the increase in tonnage that we've seen just a bit of an uptick over the past couple of years. So we're predicting that to continue. And again, as mentioned, there is a startup deficit recovery for this program, as there are for many programs, but that is scheduled to be fully recovered by the end of 2026. So that's a close look at the fees. So this slide shows you what factors are actually affecting this fee rate, which again, both fee rates, flat manifest fee and tonnage fee, are being held steady at previous years' rates, $30 per ton and $6 manifest fee. So there was an increase in the program allocation to hazardous waste, which we just discussed. And that increase resulted in a 6% increase to the fee rate. The predicted volume coming through the Hazardous Waste Program Registry is predicted to increase, as mentioned. This means we were able to take the fee rate down by about 5.3%. We have reduced the deficit recovery required from this program. So that reduces the fee rate this year proposed by almost 1%, but 0.7%, and no increase to the flat manifest fee or the number of manifests. So there's no percent change in the fee rate for that. And taken all together, that means no change, status quo. Other updates. So set aside our proposed fee rates for just a moment, because there are some other things going on with the provision of this program that some of you may be aware of. One of them is that we have always been able, as an organization, to levy monthly administrative charges on any late payments, but we have not historically done so. That is going to change in 2026. We will be implementing late fees in 2026. So important note for registrants of the HWP registry. We also are implementing a number of enhancements to the registry to assist with billing and payment. So some of those are listed here. We hope that it will increase the convenience in terms of how invoices are paid and reduce some burden for registrants for this program. These enhancements are going to make it easier for registrants to view and pay any outstanding balances or request refunds or credits. They will provide the ability to pay total outstanding invoices in each program all at once, reducing burden that way. They will provide the ability to designate an accounts payable user, also to save a preferred payment method for easy use in the future, including an enhanced direct debit payment method that's going to be available. And we are also going to provide the ability to enroll in manifest auto pay, which means you can automatically set up pre-authorized payments and avoid late fees. So these things are, I mean, related to fees in that these are program enhancements. So the fees in this program actually pay for registry enhancements that we're listing here. But also, there's been quite a bit of stakeholder engagement on these enhancements over the last year. So wanted to give you updates on this, and we can speak to these as necessary, and anything we can't speak to today, we can again take away and get back to you on.
Yeah, just to add, Stace, all of these are in response, as you mentioned, to requests from stakeholders to help folks provide flexibility. We heard there are many different businesses that are regulated across the many programs RPRA supports and many different ways that each business is set up and prefers to pay invoices. So this is hopefully providing maximum flexibility. I'll give one example, small ratepayers who pay very small dollar HWP invoices on a monthly basis. This gives them the option to avoid, say, a credit card payment by using direct debit, allows them to batch invoices together if you have multiple sites, and also setting up your auto pay, which would help you to avoid this altogether. This would be much more efficient. The ability to continue to review what you're paying, but having it paid automatically at a click should be seen as or hopefully will be seen as responsive, helpful, and make it easier for you to operate your businesses and not worry so much about this piece. Stace, back to you.
Okay, so a bit about how to provide feedback. We've talked about this a few times, but an important reminder, if you have questions about this proposal of HWP 2026 fees, or any of the proposed fees for 2026, or you would like to discuss an aspect of these proposals in more detail, please email us at consultations@rpra.ca. We will get back to you. And any comments that you want on the official record, you can also submit to consultations@rpra.ca. All feedback we receive will be considered in our decision-making process for finalizing the fee rates for 2026. Again, we'll be posting a consultation report that summarizes that feedback and how we considered it. And that will be posted to the website on or before December 1st. December 1st is when we will post the final 2026 fees, and January 1st is when they will come into effect. I think that's about it on feedback. I think we still have time for some more questions, though, if there are any from the group today.
Yeah, before we get to I see one question at least, and I'm sure folks are ruminating and thinking about some great questions to ask us, but I'm gonna hand it back over to Julia to do a quick feedback survey and clean up, and then we'll come back to the questions. So Julia, over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Cam. Thanks, Stacey. So just before we get into the Q&A, which will kind of end our webinar for today, I'm going to launch a quick poll. We include this in all of our webinars just to gather feedback and to help us improve our future sessions. So this poll will stay open until the webinar ends. So please take a moment to respond if you can. So you'll see that pop up on your screen right now. So now we can hand it back over to Cam and Stacey. And if you have any questions, again, please type it in the Q&A tab, and we'll do our best to answer. Thank you.
Okay. And thanks for the feedback. We as Julie mentioned, we take all of our feedback very seriously in how we deliver consultations and communicate with registrants. And your thoughtful feedback is helpful to get us communicating to you in ways that you prefer and in ways that help you understand the programs we support and how we operate. So, on to the first question. Thank you, April, for the question. So, are we able to add a purchase order number? Oh, perhaps that was already
Sorry,
answered.
I just answered it, but I didn't know it would make it disappear. That was a specific question about the functionality of the registry. And April, we're gonna have to take that away because I don't have this very specific expertise to answer that. I don't think Cam does. If you do jump in.
Well, in
Um,
terms of an attention, one of the enhancements that we made to help get our invoices to the right people in your business is the ability to add an AP contact to your registry account. Now, this hopefully will eliminate a step of your kind of EHS manager forwarding the Ripper invoices to your accounting or finance department. Adding the AP contact to your registry account will mean they are notified when an invoice is issued, and hopefully that makes it more efficient for your business to receive those invoices and have the right person take the next steps in paying your invoices. But in terms of the PO number, April, we'll get back to you so long as you send us a question to consultations@ripra.ca. Um, there was another question that came in, which was around late fees. Uh, Mie, thank you for the question. When will late fees be initiated, i.e., after 30 days from invoicing? Um, that's a really good question. What we've done as of Jan 1, 2026 is we've built out the functionality in our system to begin charging late fees. The terms around when late fees will begin to apply will be communicated on the invoices that are issued beginning Jan 1, 2026. And I believe our finance team continues to refine how they will be applying late fees, but they will be done very reasonably and in terms of the timing that they'll apply. And if you have challenges with paying your Ripper invoices, we do encourage you to reach out to registry at rpra.ca to communicate those challenges to us. So hopefully that's a long way to say, once we issue those invoices, it'll be communicated clearly on the invoice, but definitely that is a bit of a live issue, but we are looking to it has been decided that as of Jan 1, 2026, we do have the authority to charge late payment fees, and we have built the functionality to begin doing that. Okay, and I see the other questions were answered by our staff in the background, so thank you so much. I just want to pause. We do have some time, so folks, if you have questions that you'd like to ask us, please feel free. We'll just pause for 20-30 seconds to wait for those to come in before we close out. I'm just going to go back to this slide around feedback and just reminding folks, if you do have feedback, we'd love to hear it. You can send it to consultations@rpra.ca. The consultation period is open until November 30th, 2025, so please submit your feedback by then. All feedback received will be summarized in our consultation report that will be released, and that'll including how the feedback received was considering and informed our decision making, which will lead to us posting final fees by December 1st, and everyone who participated in this webinar and in our consultation broadly will be notified of the final decision and where to find those final 2026 fee rates posted to our website. Okay, Julia, you can close this out.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. So thank you, Cam and Stacey, for presenting that. Again, thank you for everyone that completed the poll. As a reminder, if your questions were answered, please email us and we'll do our best to follow up and give you a reply. Again, the recording and presentation slides will be available later today on our website and our YouTube channel. Thank you again for joining us and have a great day. Thank you, everyone.